Oh, hello everyone, Sunburned Albino's on a roll. We're on like our third straight episode recording. Ace Attorney Trilogy episode 61? 62? I don't know. Something like that. Early 60s. And what we just did in the last episode was we're figuring out that the button was torn off, not during the fight, but afterwards, and that it was used to frame Mr. On Guard, and now we are going to finger the real killer. Which we already pretty much know is Miss Andrews at this point. Or, I mean, it could also not be, but, like, you know, if they're gonna throw, like, a curve at the last second, but... Alright. Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer, then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer... The person who planned to frame Mr. On Guard is... Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you! You are Mr. Corita's killer. What? Order! 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 Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On Guard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room, and the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Oh, damn it, I broke another pair of my glasses, fuck. Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own hakama. Fuck, I lost another pair of glasses. Oh, this is getting really expensive. The only person who could have put this button onto Mr. On Guard's hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, please, I'm out of glasses. But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case, and it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. No, another pair of glasses! Oh no, I gotta go to Lens Crafters after this. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. No, don't look at my titties. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews. I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination, by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On Guard's room. Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things looked bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there is still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? What's wrong, right? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor, but everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No! She's taking that defiant attitude again! Mia, what should we do? Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true! In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow! If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial... Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but... Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over.
So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony?
I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left.
I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Edgeworth's trying to help a little bit. Alright. Glass of juice, didn't pour for myself. I was surprised when I walked in the room and saw it in the messy state. Yeah, I mean, I guess there was other stuff on the ground. And he's sideways to the door, so... I mean, you would have seen, like, the knife sticking out or something. In the corner. Slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? Perhaps the crime scene photo. No? Okay. The knife sticking out of him, perhaps? No. No, I think that's a dead end. Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix, and then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought.
I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all.
Just fainted or something. You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state, I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice? Yes, he always has a hard time waking up, so Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink.
I see. And after that, what happened next?
And how did you come to realize that he was, in fact, dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked, and staggered backward, and knocked the flower vase over, so that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is your best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there is a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Ugh. Did I press this already? So it was a mess? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Kurita? I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. Gah. And then, what did you see next, witness? God, what's wrong with this? I don't know. I pressed everything and it didn't help. She didn't append her testimony at all. Slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. That's the part where I'm like, dude, that's complete bullshit. He's got a knife sticking out of his chest. And then she's all like, I went over to him and he was sleeping. I was like, ooh, is he dead? Let me check his pulse. Oh, you never saw the damn knife? So mad at this. Ha! Thought that he was dead, didn't cross my mind. The thought that he was dead. Was it the button? No, it is not the button. I don't understand. He just fainted, so I went to pour some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. What does the crime photo have to say about that? So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. I have no idea why this worked, by the way. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? Ah. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking I was doing this entire line of thought! And it didn't work. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. Well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted, and then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is? Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. My glasses, not again! And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer. Oh, my titties, too. Don't look at me, please. I'm self-conscious. I have low self-esteem. I'm very dependent on other people. No! It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt on Guard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. She's trying not to have her, attempted suicide brought to light. Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt on Guard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt on Guard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What are you... Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt on guard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie! I don't believe you! What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then, right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get our not guilty. That's my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please. Someone. Help me.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor?
the court can't continue on like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there. Right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Well, if we request the not guilty verdict, then that's it. But, at this point I'm feeling like it's like the killer is behind the whole thing. Which is kind of weird, because maybe he needed him to be framed. Because, okay, we're gonna like work this out. So, the killer sets this whole thing up where it's like, we need to prove Matt on Guard's innocence and that he was being framed. But what if he did that just to force Adrian Andrews into this exact spot because she had his card as well? So the killer's been in contact with her, or at least has influenced her in some way. So if the killer wants Adrian Andrews to take the fall for this, and then the killer was the real killer, but she has still been lying about everything that she's been lying about. So, I mean, let's force her to testify. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you're really hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Sure, Mr. On Guard would get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me.
That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth.
You're wrong. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this. However...
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop!
Mr. Edgeworth?
This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop! Please stop! No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I am about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please, please, stop! I beg you, if people find out, I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, that is of no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still-breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted. Honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. Stabbed the body with the knife? But why would you do that? Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... this is the truth. The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time? So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Carita, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. Need to press this inconvenience. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the awards ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is this secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I don't want to concede, but this testimony, it rings of the truth. I'm sorry, Phoenix. No, please, don't apologize to me. We were both taken by surprise. Still, I'm sorry. But you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. But that scarf is a part of the Jamma Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up, and went to pour the juice. You're still lying about this? Dude, we brought the knife up for this, like, several times before. And I guess that's why it doesn't work anymore. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife? It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Engarde's Hakama. Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they?
I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Engarde's room and planted the button?
Into Matt's Hakama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word. What does all this mean?
Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Engarde. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words.
What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer.
Wait, Your Honor! The defense still... Right. Huh? It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything.
Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright.
But...
Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning.
Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately.
That is all. Court is adjourned for today.
Today's trial. It's over. And I didn't win an acquittal! Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Huh? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright, I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him. You found that card next to the victim's body? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Are you fucking stupid? Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card if you ask me. No, it's not like it's the calling card of a murderer. Goddamn retards. Oh my god. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why... Witness! That card! Give it to me! Hurry! Edgeworth, do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This! I can't believe you hid this from me all this time! I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it? And what does it mean? Find out in the next episode! Yo! That's gonna do it for this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.